These 5 herbs eliminate stress and negativity from your life. Buddhist wisdom, dear friends. In the quiet moments of life when the mind becomes restless and the heart feels heavy, we often search far outside ourselves for peace. Yet the Buddha reminded us that harmony begins with mindful living, how we breathe, how we think, and how we nourish the body that carries our consciousness. Nature, in its silent compassion, offers us gentle allies. Today I share with you 5 humble herbs, not as magic cures, but as companions on the path toward calmness, clarity, and inner balance. First, Tulsi, the sacred basil. Tulsi teaches resilience. Though delicate in appearance, it thrives in harsh conditions. When we drink it mindfully, it reminds us to adapt without anger, to bend without breaking. Stress loosens its grip when we learn, like Tulsi, to remain rooted. Second, Ashwagandha. This herb whispers the lesson of strength through stillness. In Buddhist practice, we do not fight stress, observe it. Ashwagandha supports the nervous system, helping the body rest so the mind may follow. When the body is calm, negative thoughts lose their fuel. Third, Brahmi. Brahmi is the herb of clarity. A scattered mind creates suffering. A focused mind creates peace. As Brahmi sharpens awareness, it aligns beautifully with right mindfulness, allowing us to see thoughts arise and pass without attachment. Fourth, Chamomile. Chamomile is kindness in plant form. It softens agitation and invites rest. The Buddha taught loving kindness not only toward others but toward ourselves. When we allow the body to relax, we practice compassion in action. Fifth, ginger. Ginger awakens inner warmth. Negativity often grows in stagnation, in emotions left unexpressed, in energy left unmoved. Ginger encourages gentle circulation, reminding us that life flows best when we do not cling. Dear friends, remember this: herbs do not remove suffering by force. They support balance. Just as meditation trains the mind, these gifts of nature support the body. Together, they create the conditions for peace to arise naturally. Drink them with awareness. Breathe with gratitude. Live with simplicity. When the body is in harmony, the mind becomes clear. When the mind is clear, negativity fades. Compassion remains. May you be well. May you be calm. May you walk gently on your path. Peace begins with mindful living. Stress and negativity are reduced when we nourish the body and mind with awareness, simplicity and balance, just as taught in Buddhist wisdom. Peace begins with mindful living because stress and negativity are not only created by what happens around us, but by how we relate to those experiences within our own minds. In Buddhist understanding, suffering does not arise from the world itself, but from attachment, resistance, and unconscious habits of thought. When life feels overwhelming, it is often because the mind is rushing ahead, replaying the past or fearing the future, while the body is left tense and neglected. Mindful living gently brings us back to the present moment, where peace has always been quietly waiting. To live mindfully means to become aware of the simple acts that shape our day and how we breathe, how we eat, how we speak, and how we care for the body that carries our awareness. The Buddha taught that the body and mind are deeply connected. When the body is constantly overstimulated, poorly nourished, and denied rest, the mind naturally becomes restless and negative. In this state, even small problems appear large, and patience disappears easily. Mindfulness invites us to slow down and notice these patterns without judgment, creating space for balance to return. Stress often grows when we live unconsciously, moving from one task to another without presence. We eat without tasting, breathe without awareness, and rest without truly letting go. Over time, this disconnection creates inner noise. Mindful living reverses this process by encouraging us to engage fully with each moment. A single conscious breath can soften the nervous system. A moment of gratitude before a meal can shift the heart from scarcity to abundance. These small acts may seem insignificant, but repeated daily, they reshape the mind. In Buddhist wisdom, nourishment is not limited to food alone. Everything we consume, food, thoughts, emotions, and even conversations, either increases peace or increases suffering. When we choose to nourish ourselves with calm intentions and natural support, we send a powerful message to the mind. Safety is present, and there is no need to remain in constant alert. This is why mindful nourishment plays such an important role in reducing stress and negativity. It supports the body so the mind can relax its defenses. Mindful living also teaches acceptance rather than control. Instead of trying to force stress away, we learn to observe it with compassion. When awareness is present, negativity loses its power because it is no longer being fed by resistance. Just as muddy water becomes clear when left undisturbed, the mind settles naturally when we stop stirring it with fear and impatience. This settling does not happen overnight, but it deepens with consistency and sincerity. Ultimately, peace is not something we add to life, it is something we uncover by removing what disturbs it. Mindful living gently removes excess speed, excess tension, excess mental noise. By honoring the body, slowing the breath, and paying attention to the present moment, we align ourselves with a calmer rhythm of existence. From this rhythm, stress weakens, negativity fades, and a quiet sense of well-being begins to grow, not as an achievement, but as a natural state of being. Herbs are gentle allies, not magic cures. The 5 herbs support inner harmony by calming the body, which naturally helps the mind release stress and negative thought patterns. Herbs are gentle allies on the path to peace, not magic cures that instantly remove suffering. In Buddhist understanding, nothing outside of us can simply erase stress or negativity without our own awareness and participation. True balance arises when causes and conditions are brought into harmony. Herbs work in this same way. They do not force the mind into calmness, nor do they silence thoughts by power, creating the conditions in which the mind can naturally settle. Stress often feels overwhelming because the body remains in a constant state of alert. The nervous system becomes tired yet unable to rest. When the body is strained, the mind reflects that strain through worry, irritation, and negative thinking. Gentle herbs help by easing this physical tension, reminding the body that it is safe to relax. When the body begins to rest, the mind follows without being pushed. This is in harmony with Buddhist practice, which teaches that forcing change only creates more resistance. In mindfulness, we learn to observe rather than fight. Herbs complement this attitude perfectly. They work slowly, patiently, and without aggression. Just as meditation does not demand instant enlightenment, herbs do not promise instant peace. Their value lies in consistency and intention. Taken mindfully, they become part of a daily ritual that signals care, presence, and self-respect. This ritual itself is already a form of healing because it brings awareness into the act of nourishment. Buddhist teachings emphasize the middle path, avoiding extremes of indulgence and denial. Herbs reflect this wisdom by offering balance rather than excess. They support the body without overstimulation, unlike substances that create temporary relief but later deepen exhaustion. Over time, this balanced support helps the mind become more stable. When the body is not constantly overstressed, emotional reactions soften and negativity loses its urgency. Another important aspect of using herbs mindfully is gratitude. Where we pause to acknowledge nature's support, the heart opens. Gratitude shifts attention away from what is lacking and toward what is already present. This shift alone can reduce stress significantly. In Buddhist practice, gratitude is a form of right view. It allows us to see life with clarity rather than complaint. Herbs, when received with gratitude, become reminders of our connection to the natural world and its quiet generosity. It is also important to remember that herbs are companions, not replacements for inner work. They support meditation, ethical living, and mindfulness, but they do not replace them. Just as a walking stick supports a traveler without carrying them, herbs assist the journey without walking it for us. This understanding prevents attachment and disappointment. When we expect too much, suffering arises. When we understand their true role, peace grows naturally. By approaching herbs with patience, awareness, and humility, we align with a deeper rhythm of healing. Stress and negativity fade not because they are fought, but because the conditions that sustain them no longer exist. In this gentle cooperation between nature, body, and mind, calmness becomes a natural outcome rather than a struggle. Each herb reflects a Buddhist lesson. Tulsi teaches resilience. Ashwagandha shows strength through stillness. Brahmi brings clarity. Chamomile embodies self-compassion, and ginger restores flow and vitality. Each herb reflects a deeper Buddhist lesson, reminding us that healing is not only physical but also a matter of understanding the mind. In Buddhist wisdom, nature is one of the greatest teachers. Plants grow without anxiety, respond without resistance, and exist fully in the present moment. When we observe herbs in this way, they become symbols as much as supports, guiding us toward inner qualities that reduce stress and negativity at their root. Tulsi, for example, reflects resilience. It grows in difficult environments yet remains vibrant and alive. This mirrors the Buddhist teaching that suffering is part of existence, but our response to it determines our peace. When stress arises, we often harden or collapse under pressure. Tulsi reminds us to stay rooted while remaining flexible, to meet challenges without bitterness. This attitude weakens negativity because it replaces resistance with quiet strength. Ashwagandha reflects the lesson of strength through stillness. In a world that glorifies constant action, Buddhism teaches that true power comes from calm awareness. Ashwagandha supports the body's ability to rest deeply, and in doing so, it mirrors meditation itself. When the body rests, the mind learns that it does not need to be alert at all times. This realization softens fear, which is often the hidden source of stress. Stillness becomes a refuge rather than something to avoid. Brahmi represents clarity and right mindfulness. A scattered mind creates unnecessary suffering by jumping from thought to thought without awareness. Buddhism teaches that when the mind is trained to observe rather than react, peace naturally arises. Brahmi's association with mental clarity reflects this principle. It symbolizes the importance of seeing thoughts clearly without attachment or judgment. When clarity increases, negativity loses its hold because it thrives on confusion and unconscious repetition. Chamomile embodies loving-kindness and self-compassion. Many people carry stress because they are harsh with themselves, constantly criticizing their own thoughts, emotions, and mistakes. The Buddha emphasized compassion as a path to liberation, not only toward others but also toward oneself. Chamomile's gentle, calming nature reflects this teaching. It reminds us that rest is not weakness and softness is not failure. When self-kindness replaces self-judgment, the mind relaxes and emotional tension dissolves naturally. Ginger symbolizes movement and balance. In Buddhism, suffering often comes from stagnation, clinging to emotions, memories, or identities that no longer serve us. Ginger's warming, activating quality reflects the importance of healthy flow. It reminds us that emotions are meant to move through us, not remain trapped inside. When energy flows freely, heaviness lifts and negativity cannot settle for long. Together, these herbs illustrate that peace is not created by suppressing stress but by cultivating qualities that transform it. Resilience, stillness, clarity, compassion, and flow are not abstract ideas, they are lived experiences that can be nurtured daily. By recognizing these lessons in nature, we deepen our practice beyond the mind and into the body. When herbs are used with awareness, they become reminders of these teachings. Each cup, each breath, each moment of nourishment becomes an opportunity to align with Buddhist wisdom. Stress fades not because life becomes easier, but because the mind becomes wiser. Negativity dissolves not through force, but through understanding. In this way, the herbs guide us gently back to balance, one mindful moment at a time. A calm body leads to a calm mind. When the nervous system is supported, mental agitation weakens, making it easier to practice mindfulness and emotional balance. A calm body naturally leads to a calm mind because the two are not separate but deeply intertwined. In Buddhist understanding, the body is not merely a vessel that carries the mind, it is an active participant in our experience of suffering and peace. When the body is tense, overstimulated, or exhausted, the mind reflects this state through agitation, impatience, and negative thinking. Many people attempt to control stress by working only with thoughts, yet overlook the physical roots that sustain mental unrest. Stress often begins in the body before it is recognized in the mind. Tight shoulders, shallow breathing, restless sleep, and constant fatigue quietly shape our mental landscape. When the body remains in this condition for long periods, the mind learns to stay alert even when there is no real danger. This constant alertness becomes anxiety, and anxiety gives rise to negative thinking. Buddhist practice reminds us to bring awareness to bodily sensations, because observing the body is one of the most direct ways to calm the mind. When the body is supported with rest, nourishment, and gentle care, it sends signals of safety to the nervous system. The breath slows, muscles soften, and the heart rate steadies. In this state, the mind no longer needs to defend itself. Thoughts become less aggressive and emotional reactions lose intensity. This is why practices such as mindful breathing, walking meditation, and conscious eating are so powerful. They ground awareness in the body, allowing the mind to settle naturally rather than through force. A calm body also creates space for awareness to deepen. When physical discomfort dominates attention, mindfulness becomes difficult. Pain, tension, or exhaustion pull the mind outward, making it harder to remain present. By caring for the body, we remove these obstacles. The Buddha taught that the middle path includes caring for physical well-being, because neglecting the body leads to distraction, while overindulgence leads to attachment. Balance allows clarity to arise. Negativity often feeds on physical depletion. When the body is tired, the mind becomes impatient. When the body is tense, the mind becomes reactive. Small problems feel overwhelming and emotional resilience weakens. By calming the body, we strengthen the mind's ability to respond wisely. This does not mean that challenges disappear, but they are met with greater steadiness and understanding. The process of calming the body also teaches acceptance. Instead of fighting discomfort, we learn to observe sensations with curiosity and kindness. This attitude transforms our relationship with stress. Rather than seeing it as an enemy, we recognize it as a signal calling for care and attention. In Buddhist practice, this shift from resistance to awareness is essential. What we resist persists, but what we observe with compassion begins to dissolve. Over time, consistent care for the body changes the quality of the mind. Emotional patterns soften, thought loops lose their intensity, and inner space expands. Calmness becomes less dependent on external circumstances and more rooted in inner balance. When the body rests in ease, the mind finds refuge within itself. In this way, calming the body is not a distraction from spiritual practice, but a foundation for it. By honoring the body as part of the path, we create the conditions for lasting peace. Stress weakens, negativity fades, and clarity arises not as something forced, but as something naturally revealed when the body and mind move together in harmony. Peace arises through consistency and awareness, using these herbs, mindfulness alongside gratitude. Breathing and reflection creates the conditions for lasting calm and compassion. Peace arises through consistency and awareness, not through sudden change or dramatic effort. In Buddhist wisdom, transformation is gradual, shaped by small actions repeated with sincere intention. Many people search for immediate relief from stress and negativity, but the mind does not heal through impatience. It heals through steady attention, gentle discipline, and daily choices that support balance. Just as water shapes stone over time, consistent awareness reshapes the inner landscape. Awareness begins with noticing how we live each day. The moments that seem ordinary, waking up, eating, breathing, resting, are the very moments where peace is cultivated or lost. When we rush through life without presence, stress quietly accumulates. When we return again and again to the present moment, the mind learns stability. Buddhist practice emphasizes returning, not perfection. Each time awareness wanders and is gently brought back, mindfulness grows stronger. Consistency gives the mind a sense of trust. When we engage in calming rituals regularly, the nervous system learns what to expect. Whether it is mindful breathing, meditation, or the gentle use of supportive herbs, repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity reduces fear, and fear is one of the deepest roots of negativity. When the mind feels safe, it no longer clings to anxious thoughts or defensive reactions. Negativity often survives because it is fed unconsciously. Repeated complaints, harsh self-talk, and unresolved emotions become habits when they are not observed. Awareness interrupts this cycle. By noticing thoughts as they arise without immediately believing or resisting them, we weaken their power. The Buddha taught that thoughts are not the self, they are events passing through awareness. This understanding grows only through consistent observation, not intellectual agreement. Daily awareness also cultivates patience. Stress thrives in impatience and the demand for immediate results. When we practice consistently, we accept that growth unfolds at its own pace. This acceptance reduces inner conflict. Instead of fighting the present moment, we learn to work with it. Over time, this cooperation with reality brings a deep sense of ease that no external solution can provide. Consistency does not mean rigidity. Buddhist practice encourages gentleness and adaptability. Some days awareness is clear, other days it feels clouded. Both are part of the path. By continuing without judgment, we prevent discouragement from taking root. Negativity loses strength when it is not reinforced by self-criticism. Awareness teaches us to meet each day as it is, with curiosity rather than expectation. As awareness deepens, gratitude naturally arises. We begin to notice subtle shifts, calmer reactions, clearer thinking, softer emotions. These changes may be small, but they are meaningful. Recognizing them strengthens motivation and reinforces peaceful habits. Gratitude anchors awareness in the present and reminds us that progress is already unfolding. In time, peace becomes less dependent on circumstances and more grounded in inner stability. Stressful situations still arise, but they no longer dominate the mind. Negativity may appear, but it does not stay. Through consistent awareness, we learn to let go rather than hold on. Ultimately, peace is not something we achieve once and keep forever. It is something we practice moment by moment. By returning to awareness each day with patience and sincerity, we create a life where calmness is not forced but naturally present. In this steady unfolding, stress fades, negativity dissolves, and the mind rests more often in quiet understanding.